Hello, everybody. This is E. Marcel Pertute, and welcome to another edition of the Fighting Peaches. We haven't done one of these in a long time, but I'm glad to get back on it. Once again, my name is E. Marcel Pertute of the Sports Inquirer, and we are here recording on April 12th, 2024, and we have literally just gotten back from Georgia State's football spring practice, and we will have comments from head coach Dell McGee in a moment. But as always, to follow everything that we do, head to the mothership, the sportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. You can also like and subscribe on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Sports Inquirer. Just look us up and you'll be able to find us. And finally, head to our platforms to listen, to watch, and to comment on the programs that we have. And you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and many other platforms that you listen and watch your content. So make sure you go to those platforms and like and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. As I mentioned, we just got back home from the Georgia State football spring game. My first spring game that I've attended with the program. I just have not had the schedule, the ability to make one of the contests, but I was able to make it tonight. And it also was the first spring game of new head coach Dell McGee. And obviously, Mr. McGee, Coach McGee, has extensive experience in the Southeast, specifically Georgia, most recently as an assistant for multiple national championship teams with the University of Georgia. So he is just experienced his first spring session and his first spring game. And he starts off with some general comments about the game and delves into topics such as developing a leadership council, engaging the Georgia State football team with the university community, the importance of recruiting within the state of Georgia, and how these type of events, the spring game and the spring practices, leads to the blends itself into the recruiting process. So let's get to Coach McGee and his thoughts on the spring game and much more.
First, no one got injured today. Secondly, I thought the kids throughout the 13 days that we had really showed a lot of promise, a lot of discipline, and they were really willing learners just to kind of embrace the type of practice habits that we need to be successful, and also just the amount of attention of detail in our walkthroughs and even in the meeting room. So very pleased with the group, and with that being said, open it up for questions.
With this year being your first year as head coach and not a position coach, what did it feel like being on the field, having to focus on everything and not just the running backs?
Well, it wasn't my first time being a head coach, but I would say that we had two head coaches in the game. Will Healy called it for the blue team, and Damian Craig was the head coach for the black team. So they were acting as the head coaches. I was just kind of deciding if there were sacks and not sacks, and running the clock, which the clock was kind of all over the place. But thought both guys did a good job, and just really proud of our kids on how they finished. And you can see a little bit of resiliency with the blue team by being down, and they never gave up and almost had a chance to win it at the end.
Yeah, because you couldn't have drawn it up better there, having it be all the way down to literally the final play.
Yeah, I was hoping for that. So it was, that was going to be a decision whether we made the extra point or not. So I was going to have to make a decision. Was I going to give the team both victory meals or both teams losing meals? So I'm glad it kind of turned out the way it did, but it would have been a decision to be made if we didn't make the extra point.
How do you think overall, now that you've got it in the rearview mirror a little bit, everybody, players, kind of handled what was obviously an unusual spring for them? How do you feel they all came together and by the end handled everything that they went through this spring?
Yeah, I think the leadership of the team and the quality young men that's in the program, I think they handled the transition really well. They were very open, honest, and they really weren't any issues from a behavior standpoint. We didn't get any bounce back from any players, and I think a lot of that was attributed to our coaches too, just being honest and authentic with the players, and they responded in the right way. and I can't be more proud of right now.
So after a lot of changes in the program, including some players going to the draft and some graduating, who are some guys that maybe didn't get a lot of media coverage last season that fans are going to look out for this year?
I can't say who yet. We're still in that process of evaluating our players, and of course the transfer portal window opens on Tuesday, so we got to kind of wait and see what things and what changes are going to occur. We're really going to embrace that and attack it in the right manner and try to make sure we make the best decisions for Georgia State football to be successful.
You talk about attacking. How do you plan to leverage your coaching experience to build a successful program at Georgia State?
Well, it already started by my staff that I've hired. We got quality coordinators with Coach Cheney and Coach Scherer. They do an outstanding job of teaching the fundamentals of the positions that they're in charge of, and also keeping our coaches, holding them to a high standard as well. So, it's a twofold deal when you talk about holding the standard and the discipline that you need to be successful. And also Coach Blunt in the kicking game. So I feel like we got an outstanding coaching staff with a lot of experience, but also we got some youthfulness as well that kind of helps in the recruiting process. And I'm just very happy with the staff that we've acquired.
You mentioned recruiting. How impactful was today in that beginning process of developing relationships within the state of Georgia and just having some of these players who've probably never been on campus before now getting their first look at Georgia State?
Well, actually, we had a great turnout for spring football with the prospects. So it was, 100 plus kids almost every day we practiced. So that was, it was a lot of returnees that came back, but also I've had relationships in the state of Georgia. So you could kind of see that today with the coaches and all the kids that came out to the spring game. And it was wonderful to see those guys here. And I hadn't had a chance to shake everyone's hand. I tried to do that, and can't be more appreciative of the high school coaches that showed up today. It means a lot. We got brotherhood because I'm an ex-high school coach, and when I win, they feel like they win, and we're supporting one another.
Kind of following along that line, Coach Adams was obviously Cedar Grove head coach. You brought him on. Was it important for you to bring on a Georgia high school head coach on your staff or have someone with those type of relationships who was just in that job?
Yes, he was a target from day one. When I actually interviewed, I kind of brought that name up in the interview process, and he had no clue that I was targeting him, but it worked out well, and John is very well respected. He does an outstanding job of raising young teenagers to men. You can see his success as a high school coach. He's been a winner on all levels, and you want to bring winners into the program, and that's why with even the other coaches on our staff, you can kind of see we got a really, really SEC mindset and a lot of coaches that are used to winning. So that's what it takes.
But you talk about shaking people's hands, but I understand you encourage players to do that as well. Sometimes it's the little things. What are some of the things that you've encouraged the players to do?
Yeah, one, we encourage them to get out in our community and start doing community service. Actually, we got a community service project tomorrow going in South Fulton, working with some of the law enforcement there and doing some things with some younger kids and their youth in that area. So some of our guys are going to participate in that. We did a Beltline cleanup. And then me, myself, I've been trying to go around meeting different businesses, entrepreneurs, and things of that sort, so we can make sure that when our guys graduate from Georgia State that they're going directly into an employment opportunity, because we feel like if you get your degree and you make the right connections and you network while you're here, while your name is at its highest, then you'll have a plan to take care of yourself for the next 50 years of your life. And you asked me something else.
Well, just about, you know, about shaking hands. Just
Oh, the shake hands. Yeah, the shaking hands was part of our spring implementation rule. So whenever anyone came on our campus, if you didn't know their first or last name, our players were required to shake their hand, introduce themselves. Same thing, trying to develop that professionalism that's needed to, open doors for themselves. And also on campus was the same model. Make sure you shake 3 hands of your students, professors, just people that you don't know, so you can just get used to socializing, networking, and just open yourself all the way up to what this campus has to offer.
You bringing that from another campus, another coaching place you've been in, or that's something new?
Oh, it's something new. I just we're in the city of Atlanta. I mean, city of dreams. Just so many opportunities are here. So we're just gonna try to maximize the city of Atlanta to the fullest, and our kids are gonna embrace that because we're gonna demand them. We're gonna demand that they do that too.
We may not see you for the next few months on an official capacity. So, what are the next few months for you, for the team, as you progress through the rest of the spring and into the summer?
Well, I got a day-by-day mentality, so right now, after I get done with you all, I'm gonna go recruit my butt off and live in this moment. We got some former players that I'm going to meet with tonight as well, along with our president and AD, trying to make sure we're all on the same page, moving in the right direction. And then tomorrow, I'll be at the breakfast and conversation with 100 black men, and I'm gonna try to go see my son run a track meet as well, and kind of get back to work. But our focus is going to be on a daily basis, and we got another saying: we hate to lose today, so we don't want to lose any day that we got 24 hours in, and that starts with me at the top.
You said spring ball is wrapped up. Now that it's wrapped up, what are you most excited about going into fall, into this new season?
Long way until the fall, so I'm not even thinking that. As you can see, like I said, the portal opens up on Tuesday, so our main focus is going to be, what our roster is going to look like, what conversations we got to have to keep the players that are kind of being tampered with by other colleges, making sure that they're in line and that we're okay. And if not, we got to be ready to replenish the roster. We're not going to make any excuses either way because it's just part of the world we're in. But hopefully, our message of don't settle for the monetary money now when you can network and make way more for your future by branding yourself and networking and meeting the right people that's going to take care of you forever. So,
Do you have any messages?
what's going on? I know there's a lot of things that's going on. We played at 4 o'clock, so traffic is off the chain on a Friday in Atlanta, so I understand those difficulties. I was pleased with the crowd, but we really want to pack out our stadium. We got a big vision here, and it all starts with our attendance, and we know that winning solves a lot, and that's going to be part of the coaches and our players being setting an example in that area. That's just the biggest challenge, trying to make sure all of our faculty, all of our students, and we got to do a better job on how we're going to market and embrace a great atmosphere and involving our students to the stadium. What we're doing is basically Coach Smart, Coach Saban model, the way we practice team meetings, special teams meetings, just our walkthroughs. So everything that we did at Georgia, we're doing it here. We just don't have the numbers yet. One thing we're going to address is our walk-on program, and we're going to increase those numbers so we can really function the way we really need to function moving forward into fall camp and into the season.
You mentioned you're still doing the evaluation of the football side, but as you've been looking for those leadership qualities, are a couple of guys that stood out to kind of lead that from the player side?
Yeah, it's been several players that are leader by example kind of guys, but I also think we got some vocal guys that I think will be outstanding leaders. I'm trying to wait to kind of get a leadership council together once May 30th. Not May 30th. Once April 30th hits, and start assembling that kind of leadership. Who's going to be the guys that are here? That's going to be with us going into the fall, and we'll address that more and kind of try to peel our onion back with our players and us as coaches so we can kind of dive deep into each other, really get connected, understand each other's the reasons we play, our whys, and get to know each other's family members. We got a lot of challenges ahead from that standpoint, and I want to make sure we close the gap in that area.
Okay, we're back recording. Had to unmute my mic there. So that was Coach McGee once again laying out his plan and vision for the Georgia State football program. A really tough transition because Sean Elliott, the previous head coach, left the program to become an assistant at South Carolina in early February was the time period, which is not ideal because you're behind the recruiting cycle. You mentioned the transfer portal. You were behind on that. So it was just a very difficult transition. But Coach McGee has come in and got a lot of energy going with the program. He's I don't want to use the word legendary, but he's very well known within the Georgia prep football scene from his time as a high school head coach to his recent tenure as an assistant on the University of Georgia at the University of Georgia for multiple seasons, including the national championship campaigns for the Bulldogs. So he has been very entrenched in the Georgia prep football scene, one of the best states for prep football in the entire nation. A lot of connections. We were at so I was at the game and saw a lot of schools from locally. I saw Cobb County represented. I saw Columbus, Georgia represented. I'm trying to think of the other schools that I saw and everywhere in between. So he's doing a solid job of getting them on campus. Now the key is, can he sign them, recruit them, sign them, develop them, and continue the winning program that is at Georgia State. So there'll be a lot of talk and analysis of that over the next few months. But it was good to be out there at Georgia State Stadium and seeing everything that took place. And this concludes the latest edition of Fighting Peaches. As always, go to the mothership, the sportsinquirer.net. You can also go to our social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Like and subscribe to our content there. And also follow, like, and subscribe to our platforms on our platforms on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and wherever you listen and watch your content. Thank you for listening and watching this edition of the Fighting Peaches. Until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe.